Hello and happy Sunday, Wednesday. I don't know what day it is. Hey, yes, I know it's not Sunday. It's Wednesday. It's Wednesday night. Sometimes you're just too busy. Sometimes you got lots going on. Crazy busy, probably the busiest weekend, one of the busiest weekends of the year, because we're getting close to the end of 2025, so we'll call it that. Um, so now it's Wednesday night. I finally got settled down. My whole area here where I do my studio, my rehearsal space, my where I build guitars and stuff like that. It's all just a complete disarray right now. Mostly because I had my Avalon Music Academy um, December holidays concert. We call it concert, not a recital. We call it concert. We had 4 shows on this past Sunday. In the normal time where I'm usually filming this show, I was probably loading in. And I always say, every time we have like three, 4 shows a year for Avalon, always on a Sunday morning, and we usually have a bunch of shows. It takes us from basically 7:30 in the morning. Probably that's 7 a.m. was our load out of the studio. 7:30 into the venue. We're not far apart, and then we do our setup, 2 hour, 90-minute setup, and then we basically do a few sound checks, and then I think our first show is 9:30 in the morning on Sunday. And I always say I'm not going to book another gig with one of my other acts on the Saturday night before, and it's beautiful when I don't have to, because you just kind of hang out and you just chill at home. This time, as most people know it, you can't get away from some bookings sometimes, and my band Bridge on Fire was booked into one of our favorite places to play, East Sides in London, and couldn't turn that down. So, and the dates didn't really skew well to move the concert. So guess what? I played at East Sides on Saturday night, and we got about 2 hours sleep and went to sound check and load in, and I'm also the basically the show manager, production manager for the show. Did have some great help. Brent, our teachers, Brent, Max, and Liam, great help. We're there for all the loading and unloading, and of course my son Jacob, who does all the sound, and takes a real huge load off of me getting all the sound together and that. So, but anyhow, that was the next night. So that's why it is now Wednesday, and we are here on my show on a Wednesday. Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm still tired. You can probably tell. But one thing that I wouldn't have talked about on Sunday just happened in the last 24 hours or 48 hours is one of my favorite bands growing up, Triumph, is going back out on tour. Wow, what a controversial subject this has been. Here is Triumph's first album. If this does not look like your Triumph's first album, it's because this was it's a different cover. There's the boys there, looking a lot different. Levine with slightly shorter hair. Emmett looking like what he calls a punk, with a lot of jewelry around his neck, and Gilmore in the back looking a little different too. Got a little bit of hat head going on. But yeah, interesting. Yeah, this is my copy that I got when I was a kid. You can see all the scratches all over it. I think I've showed this before on this show, where the back of this album is the main control room at that time at Phase One Studios in Scarborough, And I just stood and stared at that guitar, his Rick Emmett's famous Ackerman. I stared at that guitar for hours on the back of this album cover when I was a kid. I could still do that. I could still do that, yes. But yes, Triumph is going back out on tour. Should I say back out? Or should I just say they're back to do a tour? Now, why is it controversial? It's because Triumph, not like Rush, as they're always compared to. But let's do some comparisons. Rush had a bigger career. Let's face facts here. Triumph fans, we know the Triumph broke up and was never the same for a long time, and really hasn't been. They've gotten back together for certain shows here and there, and they've had the fan fest quite a few years ago, and but they never had the longevity or the staying together of never had Rush never had a real breakup other than first drummer John Rutsey, and because of the internet and because of their worldwide popularity and the influential, Rush is a bigger sales band than Triumph and has lasted a lot longer. But that's where and they're a three-piece band, and that's kind of where the comparisons ends because the music is totally different. It's a totally different band. Virtuosos in both bands, and innovators. Both guitar players very progressive, based, Leifson and Emmett, and curiously enough, Rush reformed and is doing some reunion shows. Now Triumph is okay. So Triumph took a lot of few pointers from Rush, or maybe what's that old saying? Smart person learns from their own mistakes, an extremely intelligent person learns from other people's mistakes. And I'm not going to say it was a mistake, but the biggest complaint was of Rush was the ticket prices were extremely high. I got my Rush tickets at not a bad price. Just gotta say that, but aftermarket was ridiculous, and the Triumph tickets are reasonable. I got my tickets today, and I should say my wife, who does everything for me, she got my tickets today, and at the new Cops Coliseum. I always you're one of those old guys who just calls things from the original name, like O'Keefe Center or Sky Dome, Maple Leaf Gardens. No, well, ACC. Molson Amphitheater. There's another one. I think the new rink in Hamilton is called the TD Coliseum or something like that. I'll always know it as Cops Coliseum. Or as I said, used to say on 97.7 Rock in St. Catharines, Sheila Cops Coliseum. Let's get to the point here. One of my favorite bands of all time, and a lot of your favorite. There's a lot of people with me on this one. Is coming back in a form that has caused controversy. Basically, because Phil X, Todd Kearns, and Brent Fitz, is that his last name? Are going to be the backup band, or maybe the actual band. If you are a big Triumph fan, you'll know that Triumph got back together in this kind of form back in the hockey playoffs. And they played in Edmonton. They played a bunch of stuff, and Phil X was there, and Levine was not. Levine was quite ill, and he's I think Mike Levine is almost 80 now. So whether or not he becomes a big part of this reunion, we're not sure. But they do have the other musicians to back them up. Is it Triumph? Yeah, it is. Is it going to be entertaining? Well, yeah, it will be. Are there a lot of naysayers out there? Oh God, there are. Let's be real here. You got some old guys. You're not going to be seeing the Thunder 7 show, or you're not. This is not going to be like the Thunder 7 tour or the Surveillance tour or the Allied Forces tour. They're older, and like a lot of artists that are out there today are slowing down a little bit, right? So, and these guys didn't actively play as a band. Gil Moore, did not at all. He got back into the production business and the whole side of staging, and he owns his own music school as well as, which doubles as Metalworks Studio, where a lot of people record. And yeah, or I should say it's a world-class studio, more than just a few people have recorded there. But yeah, and then Mike Levine, I'm not sure what he did after Triumph, if he stayed a record producer or what he did, but Rick Emmett has always played and changed styles, a little jazzy and did a lot of acoustic stuff and that. So he still played, but it wasn't a full-blown rock tour like Rush still was doing. So these guys are maybe a little out of practice to their instruments, but they're going to gear it up and do a show of some sort. I don't care what they do. I'm not going out on a limb and saying this. I don't care what they do. I love Triumph. I'm going to the show, and I'm going to watch a piece of Canadian rock and roll history. And it's and the fact that one of my favorite guitar players of all time is going to be there, Rick Emmett. Not Phil X, Rick Emmett, and it's just a great thing. I'm a huge Triumph fan. I have all my Triumph, quintessential Triumph collection here. The first album. Now, if you're into your Triumph history here, this album, Rock and Roll Machine, was released in the States. They combined the Canadian pressing of the first album. When I say combined, they just took some songs off this first album and mixed them in with the Rock and Roll Machine album and made one first album for the States, for the US. But this was our first album, which had 24 Hours a Day, Be My Lover, Don't Take My Life, Street Fighter, What's Another Day of Rock and Roll, Easy Life, Let Me Get Next to You, and of course the staple live song that they played ever since was The Blinding Lights Show, Moonchild, which is could possibly, arguably, if I want to argue with myself, my favorite Triumph song. And then you had Rock and Roll Machine, which they hit the airwaves with their cover of Rocky Mountain Way, which was the big signal, even though it was a cover tune. And then a lot of other stuff like Rock and Roll Machine's on here, Little Texas Shaker, Dave. And incredible album, especially the City Suite. The City Suite is... they got into more progressive stuff, like three movements of this of a very progressive sounding song. And of course, on the back cover, we have more pictures of that incredible Cherry Sunburst, Famous Akron. All I care about is the guitars, isn't it? My favorite album cover design of all time is the Just a Game album. I think it's just incredible. Unless you own the album, you probably don't see this too often, which is the full artwork all the way across. And if you don't have the album, at home, you have the board game, Just a Game, right here. And of course, the ever-present Famous Ackerman. Here it is again. And of course, when Rick is into the double necks at this point, he's got his Gibson double neck there too. This is the album with Hold On and that. This is my favorite albums of all time, and as well as the cover. And then to round out our last two albums, to round out our essential Triumph collection, is of course Progressions of Power, which a lot of people probably don't even remember. This has I Live for the Weekend on it, Nature's Child, Take My Heart, Tear the Roof Off, Hard Road. This is probably one of the best Triumph albums. One of the best Triumph albums. It's little known, incredible album. Kind of one that didn't get a lot of huge commercial success, but check that one out if you're a fan, or the fans that know that album will agree with me. And of course this one here, which is probably, Thunder 7 was a big tour, but I'd say this may be getting close to the top of the peak for the band. Does anybody know where that picture was taken? Toronto people out there. Allied Forces. This is the big. I think Magic Power might be one of their biggest songs. And Fight the Good Fight, Magic Power, big songs, and of course the title track. And Hot Time in the City Tonight, Say Goodbye. Another incredible masterpiece here. So, what will these guys be playing when they do their reunion tour in April? I think it's April. I see them. Um, I think they're just playing a lot of the hits. I think they'll do a lot of talking. I think there'll be some video because Mike Levine probably won't be there, and I think whatever they put on for the real fans, and not the people that are going to complain because they're not, they don't look like the Thunder 7 tour. I think for the real fan, this is going to be amazing because they always do great things for their fans. FanFest is, if there's any indication of what they do for their fans, I think this is just going to be a phenomenal thing. I think people should go to it with an open mind and not expect to see three guys jumping around in their white pants. Okay. Enough said. I love Triumph. I think they're the great band. I've never compared them to Rush other than they're a three-piece from Toronto. And the similarities because Steve Howe was both a huge influence on both Lifeson and Emmett. But I consider them one of my biggest influences growing up. I will still go out on a limb to say that the unaccompanied solo in Rock and Roll Machine. I don't know if you know the one. I can't really play it on my 12 string. It's the one that starts. Hard to do on 12. I think Eddie ripped that off. Eruption came after Rock and Roll Machine, and I think guitar players, and especially if you know much about Eddie Van Halen, I don't think we don't give away a lot. And if we're gonna talk about your influences, you're gonna say the obvious ones, but anything you hear is an influence, and I think Eddie heard him do that part, and then of course Rick did the. Let me get it right. Again, a little hard to play on my 12 string. But there's that part of the solo which kind of sounded like Eruption, but Eddie took it to a new level, and but I think he owes a little tip of his hat to Rick Emmett. I think I always thought that. Anyhow, influential bands, and even the jumping around and all that. I think Rick Emmett was jumping high in the air, doing scissor kicks long before Eddie did, so I think that was an influence too. I don't care if you think I'm wrong. I've been doing this for a long time. Anyhow, go see Triumph in April. Triumph Mania. It's all over social media. It's great. I love it. It's amazing. Naysayers, don't go to the show. Don't even talk about it anymore. Scroll by. Those of you who are Triumph fans, stay right here. I think it's phenomenal. I think it's amazing. I was blown away. There's lots of some of my Triumph pages on Facebook. We kind of, they say, "Oh, big announcement coming, big announcement." So I didn't think too much about it, but then when it was announced, it was just incredible. But anyhow, it's Wednesday night. My place, I don't even want to turn the camera out and show you. I was going to do that earlier. I was thinking about it, but it's just a joke. It's just a joke. There's guitars everywhere. There's cases. There's wires. There's cables. There's everything everywhere. Both my live bands that I play and tour and do everything with, Bridge on Fire and Keep the Faith, are now officially closed the books on 2025. There are no more shows for us in December. Both bands. Bridge on Fire will be back in January, and Keep the Faith, nothing in the books for a bit, but there's a bit of rehearsing to be done. We are now in our 20th year with Keep the Faith. I've been with the band a year, but the band has been together and pushing forwards for 20 years now. 2026 is our 20th anniversary, so there'll be lots of special stuff going on this year, next year. Sorry. So anyhow, I do have a gig with my son Jacob D'Souza Friday night, December 12th in the St. George Arena. It sounds a lot more glamorous than it is. We're playing a room upstairs, a banquet hall within the arena complex. Yes, it's a pretty big room, but it's not what you're thinking. It's a children's Christmas show that we do every year. It's our second year running with our friend Mike Mulliner, who has graciously asked us to do it, and we do it. And we walk in, and so Jacob and I've just resurrected some old Christmas song lists of ours, and we'll be ready. Yeah, I think so. Like I said before, practicing the Christmas songs is for something that most musicians neglect. I mean, I'm sure the Trans-Siberian Orchestra doesn't, but some people do. Whoa! I just looked at the timer, and we're into 21 minutes. You're probably not even watching anymore. I'm really self-conscious about this, aren't I? Okay, I'll be back Sunday. Have a good one. Take it easy. Merry Christmas season to you all. Only a couple more weeks left, guys. Take it easy. Bye-bye.